guys, today I'm going to take some of the questions from a few videos ago in the comment section and answer some of those questions for you, and specifically discuss the fact that I have separated my fish and plant systems and talk a little bit about why I did that and the advantages of doing so. It's really windy out here. I hope the audio comes out okay. Before we get started, I want to introduce you to my good friend Ogie Okie Dokie.
Hi, I'm Yogi Okie Dokie, and this is my farm.
Coco doodly doodly doo wop.
Nice pose, Rasta. Morning, how now? Nice hat.
Yeah, man. You can milk Sister Moo Cow for all the information.
Yogi Okie Dokie is my name. A healthy mind and body is my game. I live out on the farm, do yoga in a barn. I'm looser than a goose out in the rain. Come play yoga with me now. With how now the big moo cow. Let me and Rasta show you how. It's time for E-I-E-I yoga now. Wow, do you feel that wind? Every time I feel a wind like this, it reminds me of something very, very important. It reminds me to breathe.
I think you all know what breathing is. Remember to breathe. Remember to breathe. Remember to breathe.
Don't forget to breathe, little yogis.
Are you breathing, Christian?
See, there's a chicken scratching in the dirt.
Beautiful. Beautiful. Come down and rest when you need to.
Beautiful.
Yes. Great tractor, Michael. Nice pose, Rasta. Nice drop. That's beautiful looking downward dog. Nice planting job. Beautiful. Nice anvil, Christian. Oh, nice tomato. I'll save that for my sandwich.
Good one, Aaron.
Vegetable.
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 Vegetable. I want you to think about all the fun you've had today moving and breathing. I want you to think about...
All right, now that everyone feels uncomfortable, let's get started. Alright, so the first thing I want to talk about is, because some of the questions that were asked will come into play, and I'm not trying to be cool or trendy here, guys, with my computer. I'm just can't read my own handwriting, so I have to type out the questions so I can organize them. Okay, so aquaponics, combination of fish, hydroponics, you all know that, we understand that. The only thing that separates my system from maybe the majority of systems is the fact that my fish, the circulating water within the aquaculture portion of my system is completely closed off from the plants, and vice versa. So I want to cover some of the advantages of doing it that way, and I want people to accept or agree on the fact that just because the entire system is not recirculating doesn't mean it's not aquaponics. We sort of get into these ruts or these trends where we do things one way, and if that's the way you want to do your system, that's fine. My system at home is completely recirculating, but on this size, for this size, I prefer to separate the two entities, and here are some reasons why. quick and efficient extraction of waste from the aquaculture portion of the system. So we have excellent filtration within the system. We can quickly extract the fish shit, get it out of the fish water, and let that break down further in another area. We give each set of things exactly what they need. So my pH for my fish, I can give them the best pH. The pH for my plants, I can give them the best. So I can walk over to my plant water and I can drop it from pH of 8 to 5.5 in 30 seconds with hydrochloric acid if that's what I want to do. If I did that with my fish, they would all be dead. So that's another big positive, because I feel like people really overlook pH. If you want to do a really interesting test, do it yourself at home. Take your NO3, your nitrate test kit. Take 2 samples of water, whatever your pH is sitting at. Let's say it's 7. Put in some acid, bring that pH down to 5.5 or even 6, and you'll notice that a lot more nitrates are now available. You will watch your nitrates in the other water sample. You'll get a higher reading. That's a very important thing that is often overlooked. Easy supplementation of plants. I can put anything I want in that plant water. If I want to put in extra nitrogen, I can do that. If I want to put in iron, if I want to put in, here's an example. I put in, right now I'm using, I always forget what these irons are called. EDDHA. Yep, because I had some extra EDDHA. It's available from a low pH all the way up to 9 or something crazy like that. The point is, it stains the water red. It's like Kool-Aid. I don't want that in my fish water because then I can't see my fish. But I don't care if it's in my plant water. There's nothing I need to see in there. So that's what I'm using. And I can supplement as whatever I need to. And I'm only supplementing the volume of water within the plant section. So I'm not supplementing iron for 30,000 liters of water. I'm only supplementing iron for something like 2,000 liters of water. So a much lower volume, and we're only taking care of the plant water. Yep, and the other factor would be like cooling. There's no way I could afford to cool or chill 30,000 liters of water if I included the fish water, nor would I want to cool the fish water because I have warm water fish. But when it's hot in the summertime, I can throw a cooler on 2,000 liters of water, a water chiller, and all of a sudden maybe that's economically viable. So those are just a few of the advantages of separating your systems. I don't lose anything, I gain a lot. The only thing that you could argue that would be lost is some major filtration, under the assumption that I was using grow beds, which I'm not. So the towers aren't offering me any filtration aside from what the roots would collect out of the water, and I don't want fish shit on my roots really anyways. So it kind of becomes null and void, because the larger the system, you'll see more and more people stray away from grow beds or media-based systems because it's expensive. I mean, all the hydroton that went in the Dutch buckets, I don't remember how much it cost, but it wasn't cheap. I want to say it was probably about $1,000 for all that hydroton. Don't quote me on that because I don't remember. I'd have to go back and look. But keep in mind, all the tomatoes, all the Dutch buckets are being done purely hydroponically. It has nothing to do with the aquaponics. It's another completely separated system. And I think I don't mention that enough, and a lot of people assume that tomatoes are being grown in the Dutch buckets aquaponically, and they are not. So I'll get into some of the questions that were pretty much reoccurring across the board. The big one is, how do you manage pests and disease? Because I'm not growing in like a greenhouse, right? I don't really have any biological control at all. Pests are not that big of a problem from what I've seen, what I've experienced, both growing here for a couple years and the system I have now. Yet, they're not that big of a problem. Primarily leaf miners, which you can't really do a lot about as far as applying a pesticide or however you want to do it. Once those larvae are injected into the leaf, they're going to do their thing. So You just kind of have to suck it up. Now, if I had biological control and insect netting and all that, I would keep the insects out and would at least minimize or drastically reduce the insects that are flying around and injecting larvae into the leaf. But I don't have that. Disease, I haven't had any problems with disease either. I don't know why. It's just not common here. I haven't had any issues, even with the normal standard tomato diseases. I don't have, I don't have any mildews or anything like that. Even blight is very rare. I don't know why. Maybe it has something to do with the weather, or I don't know. I just don't have problems with it. Oh, and so what do I do? When I do spray, I use wood vinegar. This is a product that's very common over here in this part of the world. I did do some Googling, and I found very, very little on it in the West. Wood vinegar is a derivative of wood, and from what I understand, they cook it off in sort of like an alcohol still, and they extract this vinegar, and it stinks, but it's supposed to be a probiotic as well, and there's a lot of good things going on in here. I know some people are fanatical with it and spray it on everything and even consume it themselves. It's certainly not harmful. I've eaten lots and lots of leafy greens and things that had wood vinegar applied to it. I've never been sick or anything like that. So this is what I use. This is primarily good against thrips, because against mealybugs. The three primary issues that I have here, insect-wise, is mealybugs, aphids, and leaf miners. Leaf miners on my tomatoes, don't care. Not a big deal. Aphids, they're not really into my tomatoes over here. I don't have aphids on my tomatoes. The aphids are more of a leafy green problem. And then the other one is leaf miners, aphids, mealybugs. Oh, and then thrips. And thrips terrify me. I'm absolutely terrified of thrips, because once they get in, they're extremely difficult to get out. And even with this wood vinegar and stuff, anything that's soft bodied, this stuff will kill them within a day. It works very fast. The mealybugs and things like, and aphids, it works really well. The thrips, I can't seem to kill them. So once they're in there, then I start getting really worried. But I think I don't have any thrips right now that I've seen, but if I do start seeing them, I would immediately start applying heavy applications of wood vinegar to try to deter them. And I may have to do some other home-brewed recipes of, garlic and herbal fermentation and things like that to try to get the thrips out. But I'll worry about that when they're a problem. Now, I did mix some tree oil, and the bottle had very little English on it, and I don't know if it was supposed to be neem oil. It didn't say neem oil, it said tree oil. And I mixed that and wood vinegar at a dilution rate of 1 to 100 and sprayed all my plants, because the leaf miners were really bothering the basil. But I also sprayed the lettuce, I sprayed everything. All the tomatoes, I sprayed everything. And the only thing that didn't like it was the basil. I literally practically killed most of my basil. It didn't completely die off, but it didn't like it. It was like I burned it. It was almost like a nitrogen burn. And now all the new growth that's coming on the basil is fine. So had I been in a situation where I had a customer potentially expecting a delivery of basil, I would have been in a bad situation. So now I know, don't do it, and just live with the leaf miners, or find another solution. Now, interestingly enough, I need to do another test on a small scale and see if it was the wood vinegar, because I have a really hard time believing that burned it, because I've never burned anything with it, but I've also never specifically sprayed basil. So I don't know if it was the tree oil or a combination thereof that had some other effect. So but this is primarily the number one go-to thing that we use. You can get online, you can research it for yourself, especially if you type in wood vinegar Thailand applications, dosages, usages. You'll find a few different articles out there, and they can kind of bring you up to speed on it. It's really cheap over here. I think you'd probably have to order on eBay or Amazon or something like that. If you really do want to try it, send me a message. Maybe we can work something out where I can ship it to you. But liquids kind of get finicky in international mail, I think. Let's see. How do you manage plant to fish ratios, pH, and parts per million? I don't manage plant to fish ratios because it doesn't matter in my system. So I'm not entertaining the load of my fish with a load of plants because they're separated. So I entertain and keep my fish happy within that system. If all of my plants died tomorrow, my fish won't skip a beat. They'll never even know. And again, real quick, having the system separated, if for some reason all of my fish died tomorrow, I can hydroponically grow my plants. Just switch over to hydro if I needed to do that. pH I adjust with hydrochloric acid. I'm always fighting pH, a high pH, and trying to bring it down. My pH out of the tap is just over 8, and there are a lot of carbonates in that water, and it is I can bring it all the way down at a 6.5, and within 24 hours it'll be back up to 7.5 or higher. It's really hard water. And parts per million, I test for nitrates. If I have positive nitrate readings, typically my readings recently have been between 20 and 40. I'm perfectly content with that. I don't worry about it. I don't play with it too much. Do you return the water from the plants to the fish? No, I don't. Once that water leaves the aquaculture portion of the system, it is replenished or replaced with fresh water, and I do not worry about putting it back into the fish system. Now, if I'm only running 50 towers. If I had 200 towers that were loaded with vegetables, I would probably never have to, I would never have an excess of water. Right now I do have an excess of water because when I clean filters in the fish system, I have more water than I need in the plant side. So what I do is, there's a blue tank there. I showed you guys in another video. It's a 2,000 liter tank. I pump that water into the holding tank, and then I use that in soil-based beds, and those are all done too. So I've been using it in the soil-based beds. So the water gets used twice, and that's good enough for me. How do I find buyers? Do I label my produce organic, and do you intend to pursue any type of certification? I'll do another video about how I went about marketing. Give me a couple weeks to let things transpire. I'll tell you this. In a couple of weeks, I'll be presenting my product to somebody who has demonstrated interest. It's a restaurant, okay? There was also another part to that question where was I charging premium prices for my stuff? And the answer to that is no. I'm not charging premium prices. I do not label my stuff as organic or even aquaponic because these guys don't care. All they're looking for is a superior product to what's currently available to them here. And do I intend to pursue any type of certification? No, I do not. None at all. Not interested in doing that. And I don't advertise it or market it as being hydroponic, aquaponic, or organic. So it's just all of my marketing relies on the fact that I am putting a better product in front of you than you can buy anywhere. And you're going to pay the same for it. So it's better product for the same price. That's kind of how I have started the structure from a marketing perspective because I don't have room to be cocky right now. I need to land clients to cover electricity bills and things like that to get into the black. 2 years from now, when I've established a name, established a good reputation, then maybe an opportunity where I can start charging a premium price will present itself. But right now, it's not my goal. And I don't believe that you should base your business model on that, on the guesstimation that you'll be able to somehow demand $4 for a head of lettuce or whatever the going rates are. I don't know. They're completely null and void over here in Southeast Asia. It's a whole entirely different market. And vegetables, specifically produce, is very, very, very cheap. Stuff is just cheap, guys. That's how it is. Consumables here are very cheap, except for beer. Beer's not very cheap. Not as cheap as I'd like it to be. How did you get so good at parkour? Practice makes perfect, bro. And are you an alcoholic? No, I don't think so. Maybe a sloppy drunk. functioning alcoholic, but I don't think I'm a hardcore alcoholic. Alright, I think that pretty much wraps it up, guys. For the Q&A today, I will give you a look at what's going on with the towers. We had some problems with the wind, the high wind. I don't know if you guys can tell, but it's really blowing out here today, and it's extremely annoying. I have no wind coverage or wind mitigation at all. This whole direction is open. There's a large body of, or not large, but there's a body of water over there, and the wind just tears through here. So that was creating a lot of problems. I'll take you over and show you what was going on. I'll give you a quick look at the tomatoes. Oh, I recently succumbed to a man purse, and this is honestly, guys, the best thing I ever bought. I got paper towels in here. I got everything I need. But seriously, it's like 15 bucks. Get you a little man purse. Carry all your shit around. I got my lunch money in here. It's awesome. Can't beat it. All this time I thought it was gay, and it's really not. It's not that bad. My Hanometer shit the bed. Remember when I said that if my Hanometer shits the bed and I forgot to knock on wood, it did. Like a couple days or maybe a week after I said that, I went to do a water check with it, and the probe was obviously screwed, and my readings were all over the place. Like the meter would not settle down. It was going, my pH was like 38 and 2 and all kinds of crazy stuff. So I said, if this dies, if this Hana instrument dies, I am going to get a Blue Lab, because that's what I thought I would do. But I started looking at the cost involved, and I started looking at what was the most readily available to me time-wise, and the product that I ended up going with is a product out of New Zealand, and it is called Nutritest Auto Growth Systems. And I don't know which is the name of the device and which is the brand, but this is the little box. This is my EC probe. I think temperature's on this one as well, and this is hardwired into the device. The other one, the other probe, is for pH and plugs right onto the top here, and you're good to go. This is bare bones, guys. It does exactly what it's supposed to do. They do have a model that's higher that records some graphical data, and they've even got models that are intended to be stationary and do auto dosing and things like that. But this is bare bones. This does my pH, my water temperature, and my EC. Doesn't even do parts per million, I don't think, but I use EC anyways. When I first got it, I was kind of like, I don't know if I like this thing. It's kind of cheesy, but now I like it. I do. I would still think I'd rather have one probe than two, because my Hana had everything in one probe. But the problem with that is, if that one probe goes bad, then you've got to replace the whole probe, and they're not cheap. I think it was $100 to get a new probe, and then I would have had to wait 3 weeks to a month to get it in the mail, and I would have had to pay importation taxes and shipping. This cost me right around $200 for the whole thing. And I would say, if you're in Southeast Asia and you're looking for a meter and the price is right, I would buy this. I can honestly recommend one of these to you. It's been a good device. I'll turn it on for you. Now, it's not as cosmetically appealing. This is there's nothing fancy about this, but it definitely does the trick. I'm very pleased with it. You can buy these through Aquaponics Thailand. Go to Facebook, search for Aquaponics Thailand, and you'll find them if you want to pick one up. And that is about it, guys, I think. So I'll take you over, show you the tomatoes, show you what was going on with the towers, and we'll wrap it up. Alright guys, so here's what was going on with the towers. These sponges and these little plastic cups, the sponge themselves are inherently buoyant. They don't absorb water that they come into contact with. They would prefer to float. The little cups kind of don't really do the same thing, but they've got these little lips on them, these little square lips, and I'll get you a better shot at that. But the point is, when the wind comes in here, the plant starts leaning because it's catching the leaves, and then the wind will catch the lip of the cup, and the next thing you know, the cup is laying on the ground. They're flying out. I've spent mornings out here like an idiot running around trying to put plants back into the towers because they're laying all over the ground, and it's extremely frustrating. So me, having a stroke of genius, I said, well, I know, I'll just put rubber bands around every single plant. And that's exactly what I did. I put a rubber band around the bottom of the tower, over the top of the plastic cup, and it's working beautifully. The rubber bands aren't falling off or anything like that. And I'm very, very pleased. And I think if you're using these, I think it's going to be the way to go. You're going to have some way, unless you have a greenhouse where you don't have wind, to secure these things. And this has worked out really, really well. Here's what I mean. Try to give you an example. Bear with me here. Okay. So if I take the rubber band off and the wind starts gusting, the plant will lift a little bit, and then the wind will catch that lip, and then it'll blow right out, roots and all. The lettuce wasn't nearly as bad as the basil. The basil was really bad because it's a top-heavy plant, and so all I did was come in here with the rubber band, put it over the top of the cup, and drop it on there. And then there's a little knob on the bottom here, and that keeps that rubber band from coming off. So all in all, it worked out really well. I'll give you a quick scan here. Everything's growing pretty well. You can see where I've started harvesting off the last towers there. This is all, you know, red coral and pretty standard stuff. I got some butterheads coming along. The green butterheads, they're starting to bulb up in the middle, and they're looking better and better. They still got another 30 days to go, so they're right about where they should be, in my humble opinion. These are a red butterhead, and these things are absolutely awesome, guys. The seeds are a little bit expensive. I'm sure there's some kind of hybrid, but awesome color, awesome formation, and unlike the green butterheads, these reds start bulbing. Well, you can see how little this plant is, right? But they start bulbing immediately. They don't do that thing with where the green butterheads, they'll get real like lanky and sort of like they're hurting for sunlight, and then all of a sudden they'll start tightening up. And these tighten up from day one, and they're really interesting. Lots and lots of basil, lots of these red butterheads will probably be my primary sales point, just because they look so damn good, in my opinion. Again, it's all taste, I suppose. The product itself I'm very pleased with. I've been selling small quantities to locally to friends, mostly primarily a friend, and he has nothing but good things to say, and he's actually a retired chef, so he's very good about being honest with me. If something is not sufficient or not doing what it's supposed to do, then he will let me know, hey, this sucks, you need to improve upon it or whatever. But he's done that before, and he will do it again, and I really do appreciate that opinion. So I appreciate the fact that he's being honest with me, because if I don't know there's a problem, I can't improve on it, right? Okay, let's go take a look at the tomatoes. All right, fellas, make this down and dirty because my camera's going to die here momentarily. These are the big beefs. They're doing very well, very well. No blemishes, nothing. We just need to get them to size, and they'll start ripening up, hopefully. But you can see the amount of fruit in here as I'm walking along, bumping the tripod on every single bucket. Yeah, very pleased. No issues there. This is the wall. This is the wall of sun golds. So. Still tons of flowers, tons of fruit. Every morning I go through here and pick off about a pound, sometimes less. Plenty of fruit. And they still got a ways to go, but they have grown like crazy. And then those are some experimental things, not really of any significance. And then of course these are the pink brandy ones. And the amount of fruit these things have set is absolutely awesome. Never seen brandy ones do this, not for me anyways, but you can see all of that large fruit that's coming mature. There's a one that's ripening down in there, and these things taste so good, guys. If you ever have a chance and you haven't grown them, or just go buy one at your farmer's market. I mean, they're just such a unique tasting tomato. All the hype is real, man. They're just awesome. Let me walk around the other side and I'll show you more. All right, I do want to point out the fact that these brandy ones, they do have a lot of blemishes. Like this is a par for the course, that big crack. That's what they do. I've tried reducing EC levels a little bit to help prevent it, but you just kind of got to go with the flow. Every once in a while you'll get one that's immaculate, and that's the one that you give to someone as a gift because it just looks divine, and then when they eat it, it's even better. So but yeah, lots and lots of fruit. I don't know if you guys are getting this in the video. It's kind of hard, but they're really, really good. All right, guys, these are plastic bags, grow bags filled with cocoa, and I've got zucchinis and cantaloupe and melons and things like that. These serve as a secondary usage for the hydroponic nutrients that are switched out every week. So when I do nutrient changes in the hydroponic reservoir, I have this tank here, 2,000 liter tank, and that water over time goes to the plants that are in these grow bags. Everything over here is a real heavy salt tolerant feeder, so a great use of the leftover nutrients. This PVC is all laid out because we are constructing a shitter over there, a toilet. I will take you over to the other side and show you the raised beds, and we've got a similar setup for the extra aquaponic water. All right, so this is our, again, a 2,000 liter reservoir. When we've got extra aquaponic water, when I need to push more waste out of the aquaculture system into our mineralization system, I've got extra water. So we reuse or continue to use in soil-based beds fish water. So this first bed is rocket or arugula. The second bed is parsley. Third bed is some different things: radishes, onions, kale, Chinese kale, spinach. Then I've got a mixture of different stuff in the next bed. The next bed after that is basil. The bed after that is a salad mix. So these are our light feeders, and the extra water serves as a perfect way to feed these plants that are in otherwise absolutely horrendously shitty soil. This is what they're growing in. This sandy clay, I don't even know what it is. It's rocks, and it's just terrible. So I put a very thin layer of potting soil on the top, and over time we'll just keep building up our soil. I know I said these were going to be raised beds, and they're more like recessed beds, but that's just because I'm not going to go out and buy a bunch of dirt, so no big deal. Yeah, I didn't dig all these in by myself, guys. I got some hired hands. I just pussed out. I couldn't do it. It's too much work. So they're done. They're serving their purpose, and they'll give us another form of growing as well as a second usage of the water. Parsley's doing very well in the towers. Can't complain about that. And overall, everything is doing pretty well. I still am trying to get organized and get a good rotation going, and trying to figure out which things are going to be more desirable. As I mentioned before, I looked at everything from sort of a real estate perspective, and some of the things like arugula did not warrant tower space. Like, here's a little shitty arugula plant. Oh no, actually that's charred. I think I pulled most of the arugula out of here. It wasn't doing very well, but here's an example. Let's pretend this plant didn't look horrendous and it was a nice healthy piece of rocket. There's no way I can commit to leaving 500 of those things in tower holes to get enough to add up to anything. So they came out, and they'll be grown in soil on the side. The parsley, I'm okay with the parsley because that stuff's going to be expensive. But I did put parsley in the soil too, and even basil in the soil. So it's not because they don't grow in the towers. They do fine. It's just because from a space perspective, I'd much rather maximize the usage in terms of heavy lettuce, butterheads. Basil I'm okay with being in the towers. And I think that's about the extent of what will grow in these herbs and salads. I don't think I'll get crazy and start trying to grow kales or anything like that. They're just not designed for that. So, but overall, I'm very pleased with the product. The product being the towers. I mean, they're a bit pricey, but the amount of plants that I have in this relatively small space is very, very high compared to what I would have gotten out of deep water culture. Now, I'm not against deep water culture. I think it's excellent, especially in a warm climate place like this. Much more water volume, much lower water temperatures, but from a plants per square meter perspective, these towers being vertical are much better for me in this situation. 28 plants per towers, guys. So 28 plants per tower. I've got 1 meters between rows to walk through, and there's a 60 centimeter space center to center on the towers. But yeah, that's a wrap, guys. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and again, always make suggestions on things that you might like to see. We'll talk to you soon.